Well, I want to take you for a journey today with my son Trent to Big Basin Park. It's been raining a lot, and I want to see what Berry Creek Falls looks like at this time of the year. You know, one question I get asked quite often is how big is the root system of a tree? Well, here's a great example. This tree fell over. It's a redwood. I'm up at Big Basin State Park, and the trunk diameter of that tree is about 5 feet across, and the root plate is about 20 feet high and about 25 feet wide. Looks like it went down because there's a river or creek area here. Small creek or runoff, and it got thoroughly saturated, big winds. I don't know how long ago this happened, but you note that there is not a taproot. A lot of people think that there's always a big taproot, and look at the width of the root system. This isn't that wide. You know, for a tree this big, I mean, it's only about maybe 3 or 4 feet wide all the way up, and some of these roots were cut off. And that's all that's holding this big beast. But what we don't see are all the absorbing roots. These are all the structural roots. This is the main part that holds it in place. But then you have, for hundreds of feet beyond this, is all the little tiny root hairs and all the absorbing roots and the interconnections. All these trees, all the redwood trees around here, they actually root graft and they become more of a big organism. And the mycelium in the soil allows the trees to talk to each other. But that's a whole nother subject. Wow. Look at this tree, it's hollow. It goes all the way through. You can see light through it in 2 places, and it's still standing. Look at this giant.
Seems hollow pretty far up.
Can you see up in there?
It's too dark.
It's too dark, huh? We need a flashlight.
Oh, no, it helps.
Yeah. This is kind of cool. We came across this little bridge, and this tree fell down, and the trail, they did a really nice job of carving out part of the trail. We're actually standing on part of the tree right here. Look at this piece of bark that came off all the way down here. That's amazing. Look at that. That bark is intact, one long piece.
Wow.
Wow. Look at these giant redwoods back here. Video just does not do them justice. Okay. Look at that bit of life on there. It's still alive. See that? That old tree has still got one piece that's still alive.
Oh, it's spring.
Wow, look at how green it is. That's beautiful. There's a fresh failure. The Doug fir. hard to tell.
There's redwood bark over there, so it might be a redwood.
No, I don't think it's big enough for a redwood. I think it's a fir. We're in a grouping of firs around here.
Oh, this is also kind of
So we decided to do the Berry Creek Falls Trail, and much of it is washed out, and much of it is like this. This is the part that's not bad, but it's hardly barely passable. The whole trail is really muddy at this time of year, but it's been raining really hard. I'm kind of going off trail to get up to the trail. Feel a little animal trail here. Wonder if this is a diversion. There's a fresh explosion. That redwood fell down here. There's part of it. There's the other part of it. Wow. That's part of that log. It broke and part of it went that way. Came from way over there on the other side of the creek. You can see the stump. Oh, that was a 200-foot plus tree. Look at the size of that stump. Can you imagine the noise that made when it went down?
And then once we actually get to Bear Creek Falls, it's another 5 miles back.
Right, so. Look at the size of this tree. And that other tree fell and it's leaning on this big double top tree. They're both kind of leaning into each other. I don't know how long it's been like that. But that base of that tree is at least 16 feet across from one end to the other. That's huge. You got a rock over there too. That's pretty. This is a massive big rock. Ready to go?
Yeah, are you taking a video?
I am taking a video.
Why is that?
Because that's who I am.
Nice.
I always do videos.
Yep.
You can always count on your dad to embarrass you.
That I can.
We're on the Sunset Trail, which is another 5-mile loop back to the camp, or the headquarters. And the terrain changes so abruptly. Here it's all more chaparral and pines. I see a few firs, but what a difference. All right, about this point in the hike, it got very interesting. Trent and I were walking along the trail. We were at about mile 7 of the trip. And way off in the woods, not on the trail, way off in the woods, we hear, "Help! Help!" I looked at Trent and I said, did you hear that? It sounds like somebody calling for help. So he went running through the woods. And sure enough, there was a young man, about 21. He was completely and totally lost in the woods. So we led him back to the trail and found out that he was part of a group of 5 college kids that were on a school field trip. They were up from LA. They had virtually no hiking experience whatsoever. One of them got hurt. Something happened. She was dehydrated. She was on the verge of passing out. So this young man decided to run for help. And he realized that it was a long trail. He still had 5 miles to go from where he was at. So he thought he'd do a shortcut through the woods. He went off the trail, got completely and totally lost. Fell in the creek, got his feet all wet. Drank all of his water early. He was in trouble. He was really in bad shape. And I asked him, I said, well, why didn't you just drink some water from one of the springs around here? He says, oh, that'll kill you. That'll kill you. And I said, no, it might make you a little sick, but it won't kill you. Anyway, long story short, we kept hiking, and he told me about his friends. And we got to about mile 8. And once again, we hear off in the woods, help, help. And we went further down, and it was just off the trail, and we found the other 2 of the 5 that were also lost, completely and hopelessly lost. They were so relieved to see us. So we trucked all 3 of them back to the ranger station. We gave them all the water we had left, and that helped out. It was quite a journey back to the ranger station. I went up and asked if they had any kind of a search going on, and they said, yes, yes. And I said, well, we've got them here. And so they called off the search, but there was a big group of people. Everybody was waiting for them. Everybody was panicked. Everybody was... And it was about dusk by the time we got back, so they would have spent the night in the woods. I don't know exactly what would have happened, but moral of the story, stick to the trail. Environment, it's so close. I mean, right around the corner was this redwood forest, as lush and green as could be imagined, and now we're and kind of a rocky chaparral. Well, it's not as muddy, that's for sure. Now there's a classic old stump from a redwood tree. If you look close, on the bottom, kind of in the middle there, there's a cutout where somebody put a springboard. And what they did is they chopped out the front of this and they felled it towards me, and they came in from the backside. There's probably more springboard holes around the backside. And what they did is they put these boards in there that had a little bit of metal on the end to hold them in place, and they drove them in. And that's what they stood on to cut these things down. So typically what they did is they came in from the front with a saw, and then they used an axe to chop out the front of the wedge, and then they came in with a two-man saw from the backside and cut it down. My question is, how the hell did they get it out of here? It's truly remarkable.